Hey, good evening, top fans. Bill from TopFanRivalry, once again bringing you a Clubhouse edition, but it's going to be a little one-on-one. We got Jackson, our resident statistician and just all-around good guy. Well, we'll see about that after this conversation. But we have a resident good guy, Jackson, our Braves fan, and of course, me being a Dodger fan, I asked him to come on tonight, talk a little Dodgers Braves since we got a National League Championship Series coming. So, Jackson, thanks for joining me this evening. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Are you getting excited about this upcoming championship series?
I mean, I was actually talking with my dad the other night whether we wanted the Giants or the Dodgers in the championship series, and I think we came to the consensus that it's the Dodgers. It's a more familiar foe. You know, this time Atlanta will be rocking. They're excited. They're riled up. I don't know if you watched any of Game 4, but they were very, very loud.
Very, very loud is a good way to put it. Yes. I was equally, I was talking with a friend, or actually I was on, what was I? I was talking with a buddy of mine, and I said, what's it look like if and he's a Dodger fan. I said, what's it look like if the Giants and the Asterix are in the World Series together? I said, I think we'll just wait for baseball to start again next year because you can't root for a team if you're a Dodger fan, right? So, um, so let's talk. Let's talk about the NLDS first. Let's start there. Okay, you guys matched up against the Brewers. Tell me, were you feeling confident going into that, or was that one of those things where you were thinking, these guys got a good pitching staff, this could be dangerous?
Yeah, at first I was kind of thinking that, and after Game 1, just seeing Charlie Morton, you lose off a 2-run home run, you come away from a game like that feeling pretty good. The Brian Snitker, you could probably argue that he left Morton in one batter too long, but when he's cruising, he backs up a slider on someone and hits a batter, you don't expect him, to falter. He's your big game pitcher. Charlie Morton is probably one of the big game pitchers in the MLB. So, props to Snitker for trying to ride his guy out. So, losing Game 1 in Milwaukee and coming back and being able to take 2 in a row, like 3 in a row, actually, it's good for the Braves to know that they have that ability to bounce back. This Braves team feels different. I mean, I was talking to one of my buddies today, and imagine this team with Acuna on it. It'd feel pretty unstoppable. Just the attitude of the team. They have the attitude of they have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove, because we were talking about it all year on the podcast. Everyone's saying, when are the Braves going to put it together? When are they going to do this? They're sitting at 500. They're not that good, but they've proven themselves against quality competition. I think they played the Dodgers really well this year. They won the season series against the Giants. They played against Milwaukee really well, So after they hit their stride, I think the Braves aren't really getting the respect they deserve, just scanning the social media. That the Braves came into that series against Milwaukee as the hotter team and a team hungry and ready. And I don't think Milwaukee was really expecting that Braves game plan. They're expecting, to get blown out if they lost to that vaunted lineup. But, the starting pitching and the bullpen really stepped up.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you in what you were saying about the Braves as far as all season long, because if you've been listening to the clubhouses, like you said, Jackson, we're kind of wondering, hey, when I can remember a month and a half, almost 2 months ago, we're looking at it going, hey, it could be the Phillies, it could be the Mets. Where are the Braves, right? And the thing about baseball that's interesting is you get hot at the right time, and then you can kind of get unstoppable. Anything can happen in a one-game playoff. Anything can happen in a best out of 5 or best out of 7 series. When you have 162 games in front of you, it changes the pattern, right?
Yeah.
Versus, hey, you got 5 games, you got to win 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you that series, when the Braves lost the first one, I thought, oh no, this is it. Brewers are gonna make them look bad. And then I read the stats behind it for that game. I didn't get a chance to see it, and I thought Braves really didn't lose. There was just 1 or 2 bad pitches that changed the outcome of that game. And then you guys won Game 2, and I thought, oh, here we go. And then Game 3 and Game 4, okay, these guys are legit. It's what did you think of the Dodger Giants series?
It's one of those series where it was literally decided by a couple pitches. You could argue that the Dodgers, the game they lost 1-0, the win bailed the Giants out on that one.
Hmm.
The ever controversial check swing from last night. But when teams are that good and that evenly matched, it's who blinks first, who makes the first mistake. And got to credit the Giants for putting together a good season, but I think they just made one too many mistakes last night.
Yeah, I have been fielding, no joke, probably 15 text messages and probably 4 or 5 different phone calls over the check swing. And tell me if you agree with this, Jackson. If you have to wait for the umpire to make a good or bad call for you to lose or win, you've already lost, right? I mean, Posey hits the double in the first inning. I think Brandon Crawford walked right behind him. 2 outs, you got first and second, you don't score. They had first and second another time, I think, with 1 out and didn't score. I think at one point they had the bases loaded and didn't score. And so you can't, in the postseason, you can't waste opportunities, right? All the pressure was on the Giants. They had the better record in the regular season, and they were at home, right? It was all the pressure. The Dodgers are World Series champs, but all the pressure. So tell me, do you agree that if you got to wait for a bad call or a good call that destroys your season, then you really didn't win the game anyways?
To an extent, I mean, the umpires have been horrendous these playoffs. If you watch any chunk of the games, you could tell there was that really bad call of the Astros White Sox game with the interference where Grandal literally just stood in the way of the throw, and the technicality of the rule. Game 4 with the Braves against the Brewers, the pop fly that popped out of the catcher's glove hit the ground and he caught it. Non-reviewable, but it's that you can't wait in the postseason. You can't waste opportunities. Something that stuck out to me, but Braves pitching did really well against Milwaukee. Everyone's like, oh, Milwaukee's offense isn't that good. They held them 0 for like their first 13 with runners in scoring position.
Yep. Yep.
And a league average team or a league below average team hits about 250 with runners in scoring position. So you got to credit that at least the Braves pitching for holding them to 0 for 13. It's good pitching. That's what decides games.
Mhm. I mean, that's what we've been talking about on the clubhouse all year long with the Angels, right? They got the offense. Where's the pitching? They got the offense. Where's the pitching? Right.
Yeah, and it's the ability of just having relievers and having pitchers who, when they get in trouble, they don't get flustered. You see lots of young, talented guys. They get flustered, but the big game pitchers, the Max Scherzers, the Jacob deGroms, the Charlie Mortons out there, they get runners on and they get better.
Yeah.
They pull this crazy curveball, this crazy slider out of their arsenal, crazy changeup, and they get batters out. It doesn't bug them that there's runners on base, and those are the kinds of guys that succeed in the postseason.
So here's here's a stat for you since you're a stat guy. Max Scherzer against Wilmer Flores. 0 for 21. Wilmer Flores is. Wilmer Flores is batting .91 in the postseason. Let's just assume that pitch is called a ball. What are the odds that Wilmer Flores gets a hit?
With how baseball's been the last couple of years, 100%.
Really? You think he's getting a hit?
Truthfully, I've seen too many times in the game this year where the batter gets a break. Or
yeah.
I will even go back to a couple of years, if you remember 2019 or 2018 Braves Dodgers, where Walker Buehler got that gift strike against Acuna with the bases loaded. The ball was like 3 inches high on a 3-0 pitch. Umpire calls it a strike. Acuna's upset. Braves fans are upset. Next pitch, he grooves a fastball, same spot, but 3 inches lower, grand slam. You could argue that the pitch of the outcome, but again, it goes to the point you can't sit there and point to that one moment as the pivotal moment in the game when you had runners on first and second. You had the bases loaded. You have to convert the runs. And one thing that the Giants really did this year was they kind of lived and died by the long ball. And I think that came back to bite him in the series against the Dodgers. You know, you play 2 pitcher-friendly ballparks, a really good pitching staff on the other side. Dodgers have good pitching. They have a good bullpen that limits home runs. To beat the Dodgers bullpen, you got to draw blocks. You got to get hits.
Yep. Yeah. It's, you say live and die by the long ball. I felt that that's what the Dodgers did on the windy night, right? There were 3 balls that without the wind go out of the yard, Dodgers win 3-1, right? But that wind just held it up there. And you got to swing for line drives. You got to find holes. You can't, and you got to manufacture runs. One of the plays that drove me nuts. Did you watch any of the game last night? Did you see the game last night with the Dodgers Giants?
I was out last night. I only caught the end of the game. So.
Okay. Did you see the Chris Taylor bunt in the
I did
ninth?
not.
Oh my gosh. So you got Cody on first. You got I can't remember who's on third. And there's 2 outs in the ninth. Or I'm sorry, there's 1 out in the ninth. Dodgers are now up 2-1, right? You got the scenario set for you. They have the shift on for Matt Beatty, right? They've got the shift on. The second baseman is legit playing closer to first than he is second, right? With the shift. Chris Taylor squares around a bunt and bunts it up in the air and pops out to Wilmer Flores, right? Actually, I'm sorry. So pops out to Wilmer Flores at first base. Now, if Cody decides to run on that first pitch instead, you've got a second baseman that's got a really good distance that he has to go to get to second base. He's got to catch it cleanly, tag the runner. Cody's going to be safe. Now you got second and third, 1 out, Taylor up. Okay, Chris Taylor instead pops out on a bunt, and then Matt Beatty gets out, ends the inning 2-1. I love the little ball, wrong time to do it. Just understand your defenses, understand where your defense is at. I mean, Wilmer Flores crashed like crazy. As soon as he thought Chris Taylor might bunt, he was halfway between first and home plate when Taylor just even squared around. Pull it back, like Cody's still second. It's a weird play. You got to look it up. It didn't seem right. It's the wrong play.
I'll have to take a look. Well, I have one that I observed that it was the ninth inning of Game 4, Braves Brewers. Brewers got the leadoff hitter on in the ninth against Will Smith. You know, all Braves fans groaning and going, "Oh, here we go again." They get to the top of the order. Colton Wong scores for a bunt and chases a bad pitch and pops it up.
Mm-hmm.
I lean over and tell Anastasia, I'm like, that was a bad pitch to bunt at. It's a bad scenario to bunt in. You get the leadoff, you get the tying run in the ninth inning, the leadoff hitter on. You cannot just give the closer a free out, whether you move him or not.
If I'm not mistaken, not only that, but Colton Wong had to drop his bat, almost go to his knees, and he turned the bat like this and he popped it up, didn't he?
Yeah, he dropped his bat head. Number one thing they teach you in Little League, if you're going to bunt and you can't get the bat head above the ball, you pull back.
Pull back, exactly.
Even if it's in the strike zone, it's an unbuntable pitch. They would rather you take a strike. Unless there's 2 strikes, there's no reason to jab at the ball.
Yep, exactly.
They're really trying to get that bunt down.
Exactly.
So, again, good idea with the small ball. The Brewers had scored 4 of their 6 runs off Rowdy Tejas hitting home runs. They were trying to manufacture the tying run, but the wrong place to do it. You get the leadoff hitter, you got to work the count. You got to try to move him up. You got to get a base hit, you know?
Yeah, no. You and I have been talking about it all season. Where's the little ball gone? But the little ball, 1, it has to be done in the right times, but 2, it has to be executed. If you're going to do it, you've got to execute it. Otherwise, don't do it.
Well, and the thing is, teams don't play little ball this season, and they roll up to the postseason like we can't score, and they try to play little ball, and it's different. It's hard for guys to play 162 games, you know, playing analytics ball where they're trying to get the certain launch angle and bat speed, get their bat through a certain plane, and then all of a sudden you're asking them, "Hey, I need you to lay down a sacrifice," or "Hey, I need you to pull the ball to the right side of the infield to get the runner over," or "Hey, I just need you to get the runner in from third."
Yeah. Oh, it's great. All right, my friend. Now we got to talk business, right? We've got the Braves against the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay, I said that right. Yes, I did. Tell me your thought pattern about this. So tell me the matchups that you like in this series, but tell me what you're most concerned about when it comes to this series.
What I really like is that the Braves have their rotation set. First of all, having Max Fried start game one, he's just been absolutely insane in the second half. I don't know if you've seen his numbers. It's 8-2 with ERA at about 1.5.
Right.
You know, like he's pitched well against the Dodgers in his career. I think it's a good start because the Dodgers tend to run left-handed heavy in their lineup. Force the Dodgers to put some guys, maybe put Albert Pujols. You know, that could be a defensive liability. The Braves are very good at taking advantage, and they have hitters that can take advantage of defensive holes. I also really like the fact that there's no Max Muncy in the Dodgers lineup. Feel bad for him that he dislocated his elbow. It's a sucky injury to have, but it might be good for the Braves because Muncy is a Braves killer. That guy always draws a walk. That guy's always on base. He's with runners in scoring position. He's just a menace. And I think the Dodgers with a gap that big in their lineup, that gives the Braves, I mean, at least their bullpen somewhat of an advantage. And the starters, because the starters don't have to throw 10 pitches every time Max Muncy comes to the plate. You know, you get an Albert Pujols or a Gavin Lux or a Matt Beattie instead, someone you can maybe retire on a few less pitches. So I really like that. The only concern would be the Braves bullpen. Brian Snitker tends to lean on the same four pitchers: AJ Minter, Will Smith, Tyler Matzek, Luke Jackson. I mean, Dodgers didn't see a lot of Luke Jackson last year in the playoffs. I think they saw him once this year. They scored one of the few runs he allowed all year, but I can't really fault Luke Jackson for that. He had a fantastic season. Guy's got a nasty slider, but I think it's going to be a lot of those close games. I think it's going to be a better series than it was last year. But we're not going to see. I don't think we're going to see a single one-sided game. It's going to be down to the wire. Every game's going to be a battle, and to use the Braves hashtag for this year is battle. #battle. So
Yeah. I agree with what you said at the beginning. Ronald Acuna out plays well for the Dodgers because he's a Dodger killer, right? I do like the battle. If the Dodgers play their game where they take pitches, run up pitch counts, score one or two in the first and second, you guys are going to have a rough go in Atlanta, right? But it's not impossible. But if the Dodgers do like what they've done with San Francisco, where their first ball, fastball looking, pop stuff out, don't run pitch counts up. I mean, if Max Fried throws 45 pitches in 2 innings, advantage Dodgers, right? Because he's only going to throw 100, 115 pitches. You got him for 45 pitches in the first 2 innings. You know, maybe 50 pitches the first 2 innings. So you've got to kind of play that. What worries me about this series is Max Muncy being out again. I haven't heard for sure if he didn't make the NLCS lineup.
What I last heard is he had not resumed baseball activities in the last several days, and with an injury that big, he's probably not going to be able to swing at bat. I wouldn't push him either. He's a great player when he's healthy. Might as well just let him get healthy, you know? Don't want to ruin the guy's career.
Exactly. And so for me, what I like about that series, I love the matchups. I love the pitching matchups. You guys have some guys on your team that can toss. We have some guys on our team that can toss. I mean, Max Scherzer, Mad Max, showed last night how bad he wants it, right? And he pitched well coming out of the bullpen. I really, ever since the 80s, I gotta tell you, Jackson, ever since the 80s, the Giants seem to play the Dodgers well. Even when the the Braves, even the Braves were terrible when they had terrible years and would lose 85 games, 90 games, half of their wins were with the Dodgers. It was ridiculous. And so just that name on the front of the jersey, makes me a little nervous, right? Because you guys are going to manufacture stuff and you guys are young. Now, granted, we're young too, but there's a good chance we might not get Corey Seager back. There's a good chance that We may not get Max Scherzer back, right? We've got next season is the last contract year for JT. I think it's the last contract year for Clayton Kershaw. So this is kind of our year to make our run and then kind of regroup. How does that all now? If we get Max back and we get Corey Seager back, watch out. But I really like this series with you guys. And so give me your prediction. Who wins? How many games?
I want to say Braves in 6, but I feel like it's going to go 7. That's just how life is.
Then Braves in 7.
Braves in 6 or 7. I just feel like I mentioned earlier, that the home field advantage is something they haven't had. And these fans didn't get to be in the NLCS last year. And these Braves fans they're going to be rabid. They're going to be out for blood.
Yeah.
It's going to be Atlanta's going to be a madhouse for the best. And this Braves team just really has fed off that energy all year. And you can tell it against Milwaukee. They were hyped. They were ready to go. And I would like to also just special shout out to someone I didn't mention and what I like, Jocktober. Jocktober looks good in the Braves uniform.
Yes.
I think he's been a really big part of the Braves' success. He hasn't had a ton of starting playing time with Soler possibly out for the NLCS, though. I'm not too upset that the outfield might line up Rosario, Duvall, Jock Peterson. You could do a lot worse in the outfield. That's a pretty solid outfield.
Mm-hmm.
You ask me.
And it's interesting because Jock's still in his 20s, yet he shows some incredible veteran leadership, right, in that clubhouse.
Yeah.
It's crazy what he's doing, and I have to tell you, I love that guy in LA. He comes up with a big hit when you need him to. He made about 235 for your lifetime, but he comes up with the big hit when you need him to, and he's crazy funny. He has a good time playing.
He just absolutely mashes right-handed pitching. So he's a matchup nightmare if you put him in the lineup right. If you put him in between guys you have to throw right-handed pitchers to, you put him behind an Austin Riley, you put him right next to an Adam Duvall, it causes some matchup problems. He's going to get a righty, or you're going to pitch a lefty against Austin Riley, who, for me, if I had a vote, National League MVP, the things Austin Riley has done for the Braves this year have just been absurd, and it's ridiculous that. I mean, Bryce Harper did have a ridiculous year individually, but the most valuable player has to have been Austin Riley and what he means to that Braves team in the National League.
I'm not going to argue there. I mean, everybody talks Fernando Tatis, but at the end of the season, he kind of. So I can argue Austin Riley. I can argue Bryce Harper. Both great choices.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now tell me. By the way, just so that you know, I've got Dodgers in 6. Okay. I've got Dodgers in 6 with a caveat. If the Dodgers can take both in Atlanta this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I've got Dodgers in 5. Because it's going to be really, really difficult for them not to pull together a couple wins in LA, right? And so if we can take the 2 in Atlanta, all right. But I got Dodgers in 6. I think that pitching rotation matches up, and I think the lineup is Corey Seager was hitting opposite field yesterday. Cody Bellinger actually got a hit yesterday, big hit by the way.
Just a quick note on Cody Bellinger talking about taking your opportunities. I think both of his hits, the entire NLDS, he got a 2-run double and an RBI single, and that's a big
right time.
Yeah, the guy's ice cold, but you can't let him burn you.
No. Okay, so you've got the Braves winning, I got the Dodgers winning. Okay, who do you want to face in the Fall Classic?
I'd rather face the Red Sox, just because I personally think Houston is the best team in the American League. Mm-hmm. Houston is a scary team. Say what you want about the cheating scandal, this and that. This Houston team looks pissed off. They look determined. I mean, is their starting pitching the best in the world, especially after losing Lance McCullers earlier today? Probably not. Those guys can mash. That lineup from top to bottom, you got Jose Altuve, you got Alex Bregman, who's a superstar. You got the most underrated hitter in the American League, and you're going to hear Yordan Alvarez, former Dodger prospect.
Mhm.
That guy can mash. They just have a lineup from top to bottom. It's a scary lineup. Carlos Correa, who looks like he wants the big bucks in the offseason, so he's coming up big time. So Michael Brantley has a 15-game playoff hitting streak. Houston's a scary team. They got a good bullpen, and they got a good lineup. And like we're talking, pitching and timely hitting. If you can stop the other team in key situations and you can show up big with runners on base, you can win postseason games.
Yeah, and did I just hear Correa's thinking about Mets or Yankees? Did I hear about that? Did he make
I
a
don't know.
comment?
I don't know. I don't know why he would. If he goes to the Mets, he's going to forget how to hit just like everyone else who goes to the Mets.
Oh, it's rough crowd. Rough crowd. Okay, so this is a tough one for me, right? Because I want Boston, because I think Boston would be the easier opponent for the Dodgers in the World Series. Out of all four teams currently in the playoffs, no disrespect to you, Red Sox Nation out there, and I think that the Red Sox Nation, if they're truly deep down, admitted it, they're probably the weakest of the four teams that are still left. And then no disrespect to the Red Sox Nation, but they are, right? I mean, you and I didn't even predict the Red Sox to get this far.
No.
We said this is a rebuilding year, right? Heck of a rebuilding year. So from an easier standpoint, I'd like to take the Red Sox. But from a personal, like, shove it down your throat, knock you, gut punch, I want the Astros. Right? I want the Astros again. But either way, right? Either way, it is what it is. And you and I will have to rewatch this in a week and a half after both championship series are over and see how well we called it, right?
Yeah, I mean, deep down in my fiber, we're good friends, but I just don't want the Dodgers in another World Series.
What's scary? I listen. You can say that. It's fine. What's scary is I was thinking about it today, and if the Dodgers make the World Series this year, it will be their fourth in 5 years, right? And that's crazy to think about. 17 against the Astros, 18 against the Red Sox, 20 against the Rays, right? It would be our fourth trip to Fall Classic in 5 years, which now you're treading on Yankee territory there, right? Or Brooklyn Dodger territory with the Yankees.
1990s Atlanta Braves territory. Only win
Well,
one of them.
But you guys didn't make it to the series four times out of 5 years.
Well, they probably made it to the series 4 times in the 90s, though. Because let's see, they lost to Minnesota.
Lost to Minnesota, lost to the
lost
Yankees,
Yankees, beat the Indians, and I
the
think they
Indians.
lost. Did they lose the Yankees again?
I think they only did it in 96.
Was it only 96?
Yeah. You're a resident statistician. Tell us.
Oh, yeah.
Hold, please. For you top fans out there, let me just play a little hold music while a resident statistician catches us up.
Had a long week.
Yeah. But you're right. The Braves of the 90s were there too. And so, and you guys have an axe to grind after what happened to you guys last season. So you guys want the Dodgers back, and you guys want to take care of them.
Well, the Dodgers are a better matchup than the Giants anyways. Just going over some peripheral stats, the Braves hit the fastball really well, and they like aggressive pitchers because they like to be aggressive in the box, So it's scary for the Dodgers. You're kind of playing with fire, pounding the strike zone. I know Bruce Gratterall throws 103, but you can't just groove 103 over the plate to a guy like Ozzie Albies or Freddie Freeman, not expect him just to absolutely tattoo it. And it's just interesting that, I don't know. I think it's really funny because there's a whole debate of who has the better second baseman as well between Ozzie Albies and Trey Turner. They're very similar players, a lot of speed, good power.
Yeah.
Good defense. So it's entertaining.
It is. You got some great matchups there, and you've got a lot of future Hall of Famers, right, that are playing. I mean, Freddie Freeman's probably a future Hall of Famer. right? Kershaw's a definite future Hall of Famer. That's Kershaw and Pujols are for sure no doubters, right? Probably first ballot even. Max Scherzer, decent chance to make the Hall of Fame. So
I remembered the other one.
what's that?
The Braves won the pennant in 1991 and 1999 as well. So they lost
Who they play in the series in '99?
the Yankees.
Okay, so they played the Yankees in '96 and '99.
Yeah, they got swept by the Yankees in 99.
Okay.
And then 91 was Toronto because Toronto won
Hmm.
90-91, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
no, 91, 92.
91-92.
They beat the Phillies in '92, I believe.
I wish there was just a bit. Why doesn't Baseball Reference have this? Maybe that's where I need to go.
Right. Yeah, so let's see here.
Because the Braves lost to the Twins in 92.
Okay. So
I'm
maybe
not-
that was 91 that Toronto. No, it was 90, must have been 93 then. Right.
Here we go.
And so
Yeah, 91, they lost the World Series in 7 games to the Twins.
mhm.
92, they lost in 6 games. That was to the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays must have won 92-93.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then,
Mitch Williams. Remember that guy, Wild Thing?
oh
He hit a
yes,
home run to Joe Carter.
oh yes, and the infamous 10-inning 1-0 game against the Twins.
Oh my gosh, that was a great game, right?
My dad has that game on VHS.
Does he really?
Yes, I've watched it with him. That is one of, if you like pitching, that is the game for you. That game is the old Metrodome.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a throwback game. Kirby Puckett with the game winner.
So I don't know if I texted you this. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Braves were in it 91, 92, lost to the Twins, lost to the Blue Jays. Then they beat the Indians in 95. And then they lost to the Yankees in 99 and lost to the Yankees in 96.
96.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that they had been in the series that much in the 90s. That's crazy. Right. That's crazy. Speaking of the Twins, just for funsies. So a couple weeks ago, we were flying out of Minneapolis after visiting a family member in Wisconsin. And we had plenty of time after checkout to get, to the airports. We went to Mall of America. And Mall of America is built on the old Metropolitan Stadium where the Twins played from 56 to 81. And they still have a home plate, like bronze home plate in an area we can take pictures with it. So you know me, right? So I take a picture of it and then I had to billize it, right? So I went over to a sock store, bought a pair of Dodgers socks and stuck it on home plate, took some pictures. It was awesome. So, all right, Jackson, 90 seconds of what you're looking at in both of these championship series, what you want to see just as a fan and as a Braves fan. Go.
Pitching and timely hitting makes for good baseball. That's all we need. We need tight games. We need, the drama. If you're not taking, your doctor, it's not prescribing you heart medication, you're watching the wrong sport. Especially if you're a Braves fan. Will Smith. I'm looking for Will Smith to be clutch Will Smith as he has been for the last couple of weeks after a rough patch. He looked fantastic against Milwaukee. He looked fantastic the last couple of weeks of the season, closing the pennant out. I'm just looking for the Braves to play with that chip on their shoulder. Hopefully just get the drop on the Dodgers. Dodgers just played a tough series. The Braves, they feel like they've exercised their demons. They ran through Milwaukee fairly easily, a team that a lot of experts didn't think they had a chance against. Everyone's counting them out again. Nobody picked them to win the division 4th year in a row, and they won it again. So Atlanta has something to prove, and I think the Astros have something to prove. So Braves Astros is my World Series call.
Okay. I love it. I'm with you. I want to see good pitching. I want to see good hitting, good defense, tight games. Trips to the cardiologist. I felt like I needed like 3 of them after last night. And also, I'm looking for little ball and execution in places that you're taught as a kid to execute. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping happens. I'm looking as I said before, Dodgers, Red Sox would be, in my opinion, the easier opponent, although it's baseball. Anything can happen, right? What's an
Yeah.
easy opponent? And so,
The
but I really
Baltimore
want the
Orioles is
Astros
the
back.
only easy opponent in baseball.
Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks.
Also true.
So I am looking Asterisks again. So, I mean, Astros get in. I'd prefer the Red Sox, but Astros get in. And we'll just kind of take it from there. So, top fans, we appreciate you listening to Jackson and I. Jackson, will you come back with me in a week or so and do kind of another game recap on the championship series? I think we're gonna have a couple of fellas. Will you join us?
Yes, I will. I'll be on.
Perfect. All right. So top fans, Jackson has laid it down. If you don't think you know something, turn to Jackson. He is our resident when it comes to stats. Man, this guy is great. So Jackson, thank you for making
Yeah.
some time with us. And top fans, this will be posted on Twitter, on Instagram, and also on the website. So take a look at it in all three places. Subscribe if you can to any of the sites. Follow us, give us a like, tell us what you think. We're not going to have hurt feelings. It's baseball, right? It's baseball. So have a good night, Jackson. And thanks for listening, Top Fans.